Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. I am super excited about my guest this week. I just had a reading from her last week and it was fantastic. And, I think this is a rule. I'm going to try and get readings from my guests before because it really just, Tiara Pigg is my guest. Tiara, how are you?
Hello. I am, I almost said I'm good, but I think it would fit better if I said I'm okay. I am doing okay. How are you, Karen?
I'm good. And you know what? That's a great answer because right away we're going to jump into something here. I just want to tell you like 3 things that you told me during my reading. I talked to my therapist about, and they were in, even she was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. That's like I wouldn't have thought of it or something like that. It was so good and so helpful. And we were just talking before we started taping, and this is something that I wanted to bring up because there are so many energetic changes. And I feel like it may have been before, but I've known you for sort of this window of 2020 all the way through right now, 2021. And I feel like you have this clarity of what's going on energetically. So, if there's somehow you can expand on that or tell me like earlier what we were talking about when you said, I can get up and go to the gym and then A, B, and C, but that's it. How do you assess, or are you just that in touch with your feelings?
Well, I think it's mainly me just looking. I'm painfully self-aware, honestly. Sometimes I have to ask for a break from it, but I can really just notice the different ways that I am interacting with people, with myself, or even the things that I would usually do. As of right now, and honestly, the last couple of weeks, all I have been able to do is care tasks, like taking care of myself, my son, my space. If it's anything other than cleaning, maintaining, or like feeding myself, it's not going to happen.
And it just feels like an energy drain.
It really does. It feels like, honestly, it feels like I have been removed from the social constructs that would usually keep my gears turning, but it's like they removed me right before they started to collapse so that I wouldn't be affected by it. That's how it honestly feels. And I don't know if other people going through this, because I know what I'm feeling right now, a lot of people are feeling. There's no way. Everyone that I talk to, they're like, oh my God, I can't do anything either. And it's like we're trying to go make money, or we're trying to do things to be productive, or we're trying to do whatever, and it just doesn't work for whatever reason. It's like right after you get done getting ready for the day, you're like, well, I need a nap. Like you can't, like, you just can't go out and do things that you would usually do. And I honestly, and we'll have to wait and see, but I honestly feel like they have just like removed me from this grid of things that are about to collapse.
Well, and this is very interesting, and I'm going to get a little news, watching the news, which I know you don't watch, but I know you're aware of stuff. Yes. So there is, of course, we all know about the shifts we've been talking about between now and the January 6th, January 20th, all these things that are going on. And I think we bypassed something. And I watch all the astrologers, and I am fully ready to admit if I'm wrong. We're taping this at the end of January. I think it's the 27th, 28th. But I was amazed that the attack on the Capitol was the only thing that happened. And now we're starting to hear about things under the wire or the threats or this or that. I think we bypassed some sort of a clean out that was supposed to happen there. And instead of it being like all one vacuum, getting it all up in a vacuum, we've sort of spread it all over the rug with a rag. That's a terrible analogy, but my dog threw up yesterday, and that's how I did it. And it wasn't very smart.
But it did help with the visual, because I actually get what you mean now. It seems like it kind of, if anything, we didn't avoid anything, but to me, it feels like there's going to be a lot more little nuisances. It doesn't feel like anything as big as what happened, but it feels like a lot more little
mini threats.
Yes, to where they fail, but they are like, the intent was very, very large, but it doesn't get very far, or things like that. It doesn't feel very threatening at all, but it does feel very annoying, to say the least. It just feels annoying. Like, oh my gosh, are we doing this again? Are we? Okay, all right. Well,
you know what else? It may have an effect, as awful as this is, as the school shootings did, where the first one was like, oh my God, this is evil incarnate. And they were organizing, and then it was like, oh, another one in Florida, really? Another one, you know what I mean? And they became like a thing.
America's thing. Yeah.
Yes. And I get, it's very interesting. You're talking about being a little like almost, and in therapy, I think this word they mean it bad, but I think of it in a good way, which is disassociative, which is like I've done that where I step back from my body and I can sort of see the whole room and everything. And I actually think that's a healthy thing. And is that what you feel like now? You feel like you're a little behind yourself watching everyone play out whatever it is?
I feel very in my body and in my energy and in my time, but I do feel removed from America being my home. I do feel removed from like capitalism being how I meet my needs. Or I don't know. I know that some people go through this like, oh my God, I just can't find a job that's for me, that pays enough, that does this, that does that. I'm removed from that piece of it. And it's weird to be smack dab in the middle of a country that you are removed from. So in that way, it is weird, but I still feel very grounded in who I am, what my purpose is, what I like, what my needs are, and how to meet them. And it's a big shift, because for, I don't know, maybe 3 years, I've been battling this capitalism thing, trying to find my space in it, trying to find, if anything, what kind of job would work for me to just pay the bills, and then I can do what I feel my purpose is. And I've just kind of like, I'm thankful for the removal, but it was probably one of the hardest things for me to wrap my mind around, because I think that was the first programming that felt like freedom, if that makes sense. Like it felt liberating, but it definitely was not. It's introduced as like, you're in America, you can do anything. We're a country of capitalism, you can do anything. And that's how it's presented to you. So you're like, oh my God, I should really, really like this. I should really take advantage of this. So to have such a, it's almost like you have to go through a grieving period, because every time capitalism was introduced to us growing up, it was presented as a good thing, and as a thing that if we could conquer this, then our lives would be okay. But so there was like this grieving period.
That's very interesting, because it's almost it's also the, if you work really hard, you'll make it. And then you become convinced, well, I wasn't working hard enough because I didn't make it. And then make it is another whole thing in itself. And it's, what's interesting? I'm going to go way out on a limb here, but I always, and And it was sort of, I've always pictured myself, because when I moved, I actually got, well, anyone in the Cape Cod area, I'll be there for 3 months this year. I'm booked doing comedy in Provincetown, in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, or in Provincetown, for the whole summer, which is phenomenally exciting. And I started to think, you know what? Put all your crap in storage and don't have a home for those 3 months, and then regroup after. And there's something so appetizing about either that or, and unfortunately, sorry to everyone else that would be affected by this, or an earthquake, where I grabbed my iPad, my phone, and my dog and my car keys, and I was on my way, and everything else went. There's something about abandoning something that is so right there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Because it's like, I, for one, right now, don't really have much invested into America. Like I don't have like a phone bill and I don't necessarily have a mortgage or, anything like that other than my business, I guess. So a lot of people, and this is coming up in readings a lot too. Like a lot of my timeline readings are, I just don't feel like I should be here anymore, but I don't know where to go. And I'm like, well, where do you want to go? Like, no, and it's just, I want to leave. And I'm like, yeah, you should leave. Like, what do you mean? And that's what my readings are. They're like, I want to go. And I'm like, go, like, do it. I don't know.
I know. And, they need your permission. There is something that holds, like you and I walk, in most healers and stuff, and comedians, we walk in a different world. We stepped out of, you get a job 9 to 5, and then you go home and you get drunk, and then you raise kids, and then you're da-da-da-da-da. And we went a different route. And I get very, sometimes the job is encouraging people who just need to go, no, you can do that. You're okay. You can do that. You can
totally.
Go. Yeah.
Totally.
You know, do you think you're in between two timelines right now? The one that we're talking about and the one that is going on right now?
Oh my gosh, Karen, I am, I don't even think I'm in between two timelines. I think that I have reached the end of one, and it's just like re-looping like the end of this timeline until I figure out where I want to go. And I just keep, it's getting really like repetitive of the things that are happening. And I'm like, I really have to figure out what my next timeline is going to be, because I'm just like sitting here redoing the same thing over and over again. And I got to tell you, it is bothering me.
It's boring, right?
So yes, it's just like, okay, I guess we'll do this again. But I honestly have not figured out where I want to land yet. That's how it feels. Like, where's this going to land? Like, where's my next launch pad, and where's that one going to land? So yeah, I guess.
Well, you know, that's interesting. And I know we haven't even gotten to your readings and how you do them and your ancestral stuff, because we stepped right into this heavy conversation even before we started the podcast. And I will tell you, things have been so funky around my place, like very, by the time this comes out, it'll all be fine. But I keep getting handed demonic cases that I'm not crazy about, because usually that kind of stuff, 9 out of 10 people send it and you're like, oh, well, this isn't a demon and just do this, or you get in. But no, this is it. We are in it. When Amy Spicer said the veil is gone, she was not kidding. And it's very, I feel like, and I cannot put my finger on it, and maybe somebody else can write and see, but and I'm using the political as a metaphor, but the way everything went, you can see astrologers are kind of like, wait, we were so sure in this alignment, and they're getting bashed for not getting it right, but they kind of still did. I lay off the astrologers, but there's some sort of a, like, we bypassed, like almost maybe you can't decide where you want to land because the landing pad was moved. And it's moving back and forth, and America still has not decided what it is.
You know what? That resonates totally. Because a lot of people, there's two things I want to say about that. The first thing is, a lot of people think that just because a lot of people are waking up to spirituality, that it's new. It's not. the most, this is what I believe. I don't know it to be true, but I believe it to be true. The most successful people utilize spiritualists and astrologers. They just do. They utilize, like everybody, there are celebrity spiritualists, or they deal with people who have lots and lots and lots of money. And you know, America itself has a birth chart. Like it encompasses all of it. So when it comes to, and then the CIA just released the documents of them saying that, we have been practicing this stuff for the last 60, 70, 80 years. I can't remember how long.
Who did you say released something?
I thought it was the CIA.
Oh, about
they,
astrology?
like all of these just these documents of all of the metaphysical practices that they have been doing for the past 60, 70, 80 years.
I know UFOs, but I know when I watch on remote viewing, it's just the military in their anal retentive way, breaking down psychic ability to its slightest. That's exactly what remote viewing is.
Exactly. Like, and there's some document, I should have more facts right now, but there's some document and even like tapes of like trainings from the CIA that have been released to do this type of stuff. So I think the more that I've sat with that, I think they're just trying to let everyone know, hey, if we are and we now have a space force. So I think America is just trying to let us know if we are switching to this like Cold War, basically, to where it's going to be more about stocks and spirituality and shifting timelines and UFOs and all this good stuff, that they are also well equipped there. So I just don't want people to be naive in thinking that once spirituality comes to, once the majority of people understand it and understand astrology and how to, I guess it would be like quantum physics, how to timeline jump and all that good stuff, that this is becoming available to everyone. This is available to everyone, which leads me to my next point of why there's so much more like demonic activity and the veil being so thin and all that good stuff. This is the death of dichotomy. Like this is something to where there is good, there is bad, and it exists together. Like nobody's going to have more power than the other people, and you're all going to be on this plane together. And that's been playing out as like what's happening in Wall Street. I think it happened earlier this week. This is January 28th. To where like Reddit stock, like retail stock people just cost hedge funds, I think $1.8 billion.
Right. There was a little something where they're like, no, you don't rule this anymore.
And they're just saying, oh, well, if you have all of the power and you have gotten rich from stock markets, then the people that you have affected will also get all the power and get rich from stock markets. Just like you're seeing it play out in a lot of different ways, just like the protests and the riots. Everyone wants to get upset about this riot. And then as soon as this riot happens, everybody needs to go to jail. Then the opposing people have this riot and they think that they aren't going to go to jail. No, you are going to go to jail. There's no dichotomy. If it happens, it happens. If, the rules apply to everyone, good, bad, it is all the same.
That is very interesting. And you know what else is, I know sometimes spiritual people get made fun of or the word or whatever, but I was thinking, I guess I'm a spiritual person. And the only reason I am is because how non-love and light I was or am. In other words, it's like if people like you will say to me, you look like you never get angry because you're so spiritual. And I'm like, no, I'm spiritual because I get very angry. You know what I mean? Like it's the opposite of what they think.
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. People that, like people who come to me for readings and they're like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm just stagnant in my spiritual journey. And then like the cards come out and I'm like, oh, you need to yell. Like you're repressing your anger. You're denying a completely different like a different half of yourself, and that's why you're stuck. And that's been coming up a lot with like the shadow integration and just needing to be able to look at different parts of yourself. And I'll be vulnerable and share some of my stuff that I've been going through. Like I'm very cerebral. I am smart and I know it. I don't necessarily, and I have a completely different point of view than most people that I'm around. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can make me make me feel a little prideful, to where I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And it feels good to say something that they never thought about and then kind of like stun them. That's something that I've had to come to terms with, because the end of dichotomy and all this good stuff, the other side of that is that it's just a point of view. And the person that I'm arguing with also has a point of view that I haven't considered, and it will stun me when they bring it up. So are we going to keep doing this stunning match, or are we just going to sit here and agree that we are both very smart people? We both have different points of views, and we have to learn how to hold space for each other. And that's happening on, oh my gosh, on so many different levels, like internally, externally, macro and micro. It's happening everywhere.
Absolutely. In fact, hang on one second and I'll tell you my thing. All right, everybody, we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, you know I only bring you the best in readers and healers, and that's why I'm here to talk about Paul Jasek. Paul was the guy you all went nuts for on the New Year's prediction show, as you should. He was fantastic. He's one of my favorite people, and not only is he a reader, he's also an entertainer. So when you book with him, you know you're in for some fun as well. He's not only accurate, he's one of the most compassionate human beings I've ever met, which means he can tell you how it is without scarring you for life. We all know those readers that blurt stuff out or try to work out their own shadow side on us. That's not Paul. Paul is going to give you the information you need and have you walking away inspired. That's Paul Jasek. You can book with him at www.paul.com. You know, that's such a funny thing, because it is totally the dichotomy. It may be the same or different than what you're saying, but I had to go to my therapist and I was like, listen, I have to get rid of this need to be right. And then we got into bullying, and I never have bullied a human person, but I will bully a corporation horrifically. And one year I had health insurance that was charging me $2,000 for everything, for a doctor's visit, for whatever. And I went to war with them on Twitter, and I was so like at them that then I got a phone call and someone said, "Hi, we would like to make this right." And they gave me all my money back. But it was not, I was like saying about how like you're stunning people. And I'm saying, I want to learn to just be able to separate and go, okay, we agree to disagree. That kind of thing, because it's this, I don't know. It's very funny because on the one hand, I'm trying to step back and just be like, hey, that's cool. We agree to disagree. And sometimes I actually am getting better at it. But on the other hand, I made a very bad error in one of these cases because I trusted someone else and it went against my gut. And so on the other hand, the lesson was, no, you were right here. You should have stepped away. So it's a talk about dichotomy.
Interesting.
Right?
So when you, I don't know, you might not feel comfortable talking about it, but when you went against your gut, do you mind talking about that a little bit more?
No,
it just piques my interest.
There's it's very funny that you said you're cerebral. I think we are somehow so much alike. Because especially when it comes to this paranormal stuff and working on cases, I need the information. I need the knowledge instead of just going, you know what's going on here. You know what I mean? And I was trusting someone that appeared to have the knowledge. And I started to get very sick to my stomach, which means I knew I knew this was wrong. And I kept thinking, this can't be wrong, because that person has the knowledge. This guy has the knowledge. I need to listen to him. And then later that day, it was like, I did have it right. I did have it right. And nothing happened to the person. Their home is okay. So that case is fine, because so nobody, the guy that owns the home, everything is fine with him. But it was that lesson. And it's so funny because Courage, my dog, was just staring at me. He wouldn't break away. And I know his message was, you're right. Just tell this man to shut up. You're right. And I didn't. So that was the part. But my body totally knew.
Definitely. I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying I can't wait, when really I'm looking forward to the time to where we bring together different perspectives, and it's good. Because right now we're in a space to where bringing together different perspectives equals an argument or equals someone being upset. And it's like, I just hope that, like, okay, so in comparison, we're starting to get to the place to where healing ourselves is known to happen on a matrix of sorts, to where we aren't completely discrediting 3D doctors. We know that they have their values, but we aren't completely discrediting Reiki either.
Right.
We aren't completely discrediting eating well and doing all of this. So we're getting to the place to where we're like, we know all of these things together is how you have great health. And soon we'll have all of these points of views together is how we coexist. And I'm just looking forward to the time to where we aren't saying, oh, this can't exist while this exists at the same time.
I love that. That's a great way to say it. And now I actually feel too like you just turned my energy on that, because it's even the same excuse of someone's weight. Okay, there is a person that eats a lot of junk food and gets heavy. And then there's the person who has a body that runs perfectly heavy. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not all supposed to weigh the same. And when we start to integrate that thought, and people are not, you're supposed to be you, whatever the healthy you is. That's part of it. But you said something there that was making me think, I really kind of think in a weird way that was Trump's job, was everybody's job. I'm going to say he was the poster boy for it, but Democrats and Republicans splitting us so hard that we're going to have, it's almost like I thought the split was going to come so hard that we had to break, and we didn't break. Again, that's the throw up on the rug being muffed up instead of back.
Right.
We didn't break. And I don't know if that was a mistake.
I see what you mean. And I think, I don't know. That's the place where I'm like, I'm just not sure. Because what I see and what I have seen for a while is people getting so many chances to just open their mind to a point of view. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And they're going to get so many chances to do that and so many opportunities, to the point to where it's going to become very uncomfortable if they don't. And this is happening to me. This is happening, like, this is the whole shadow integration. This is the whole no more dichotomy, all of that, to where it's happening in our like day-to-day lives, and it's happening on this big macro scale. So I see that it's going to happen in that way. And if they don't give in and just see that they could also be doing the things that they are really upset about, like if they don't trace that back to them. And it even happens, sorry, I feel like I've started 5 sentences, but it even happens on a positive scale, to where people like celebrities and people with lots of money and all this good stuff, and we project all of this power onto them, when really the power is ours. And that, we have to trace that power back to us. We have to trace that shadow back to us and let them just sit there and be like, this is what human life is. Power and shadow. And that's okay. It's
It
okay.
is. And you know what else is happening? And this might help some people out there. Because and it is the mirror. You always have to have the mirror. Okay. Because you know what? I hate Trump. You know what? Trump always needs to be right. Guess who else always needs to be right? Me. Or I have a friend where I'm like, I heard the other day, I heard myself say, oh, she's so competitive with me. And I was like, oh, I'm so competitive with her. It's right there. But I also, you're right. It does happen in the good way and with your good thoughts too. I just lost my thought again, but I keep hearing in my tarot readings of others. And then I'm going to tell you what you told me that was really great that we never think to do. So in my tarot readings, I feel like people are coming up against one big wall right now. And it may be the last guy that broke my heart. But what it really is the last guy that broke your heart is carrying all the broken hearts you've had behind it. Like, in other words, this isn't just about that guy. It's about you got to get out of the cycle of broken heart or breaking your own heart, which it is sometimes. Like, we're right there. The intensity of the problem is bigger and the solution is faster and easier. That's what I don't think people realize. The hesitation of therapy is always like, I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to look at the grief. It's different now. I think the healing is coming faster, don't you?
Absolutely. The healing is coming as quickly as you can surrender. That's how quick the healing is coming. And I know that plenty of people have done it, or I say I know, but I hope so I don't out myself right now. But I know that people get in the shower and they have those shower arguments, where you're like, no, I was totally right then. And I shouldn't have done this and done that. And I've had to stop myself in those moments and just really say the Ho'oponopono prayer. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I love that.
Oh my God, I have had to do it until I'm doing it out of rage at first. And I'm doing it and I don't believe it, but I have to do it until I start to believe it. And then not even to sound sappy, but I swear my heart space opens up. I can cry, I can let it go, and I can move on.
And tell everyone the Ho'oponopono prayer.
The Ho'oponopono prayer is, I am sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you, over and over and over again. You can get as detailed with that or just say that over and over again until it feels right. But I have had to get there, to surrender to the fact where it's like, oh, I need to clear this out of my heart space. I have to admit that some part of me likes it. I have to admit that is a part of me that I enjoy doing. Why? I don't know. We'll go to therapy. We'll figure it out. But the first step is this keeps happening because some part of me enjoys this.
And people will get so offended if you say that. I tell people you're enjoying, you like being sad. And I say it like that, like real passive aggressive. I get it. You like being sad. And they're like, no, I don't. No, I don't.
Who likes being sad? But that's the human thing. That's the whole point. You just feel things to feel them. And then you have to cognitively I don't want to feel this anymore. And it's we're shifting, we're coming from automatic to manual to where we have to actually shift gears. We have to point our perception physically somewhere else. It's not going to happen on its own anymore.
You know what's one of the biggest adrenaline rushes is gossip. To hear something bad about someone else. And next time you hear someone start that, folks, feel what happens in your body. And there's a certain point where then it'll start to make you sick. Or sometimes I'll go to say something and then I'm like, stop that. Or, and because I'll go, no, that's a negativity about, that's your shadow that you need to get affirmation from someone else. That your shadow is right or whatever wrong. It's funny. The other thing about that prayer, and this is something else that I was always taught by my friend Tommy, my demonologist. He's my guru. He's just become my guru so much. And he always was saying that, like if you say the Lord's Prayer, it has the energy behind it of everyone that has said it before. So it's not just the power of your words, it's the power that the world has put into those words. And in my very haunted apartment, I have a gigantic 3-foot sticker on my wall of the Om. And lately, everyone on Zoom has been like, what's on your wall? What's on your wall? And I think right now that vibration, that sigil is going through my apartment so strong. So even saying that prayer that you talked about, the power behind it right now is really intense.
Yeah, definitely. And it has helped me so much. It has helped me get out of like these, I guess they're like these intrusive thought loops where it's like, where did this even come from? It's been really helpful. And I pass it out like hotcakes for people to do, like all the time. Just do that. It helps. It's like I don't know.
It's your Valium.
Yeah.
It's your spiritual Valium.
Like it soothes all. There you go. Just do that.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell something really fascinating that I keep thinking about that you told me in the reading for me. And it was on this same topic. Not that, folks, I have plenty of things wrong with me, so I seem to keep talking about this one. And I'm getting better. I swear I'm getting better. But when you and I were talking about this same issue of like either being right or other people's opinions, which really is the issue of America right now. Don't listen to them. Go up against them. You said to next time meet it with curiosity.
Definitely.
Yes. And you said it like, and I thought, you know what? That's taking one of my best qualities, which is my curiosity, and having it overtake one of my worst qualities, which is being right. And I thought that was brilliant.
I love it. That is that bringing your power with your shadow and getting them to just be like, okay, we are going to find a way that works for us in here. And I love that. Definitely, I got the curiosity thing from Jessa. Love her so much. She has been preaching this well, I don't want to say preaching, but she's really been talking about the curiosity thing, and it just fits so well with what you needed. And I love that. I love that it could do that. I often forget in my readings what I say because I'm channeling. And so when people bring up things, I'm like, oh, shoot, that's deep. I should probably, I might want to do that myself.
You know, that happens to me all the time. I hear there's a little voice in my head that goes, if you did 10% of the things that you tell these people to do, you know what I mean? But it also is you attract clients that are on your level.
Absolutely. And I don't think, for me personally, my readings are like more transformative and almost have like a healing quality to them. So every client that I attract, like you said, they resonate with me in some way. So we're doing this together. Like we're always doing something together. And most of my readings, I end them with like, look, just reach out, like if you finally put the pieces together, or if something clicks later on, or you have a question later on, just reach out because I'm working on this with you. It's fine. And it's just nice as a reader. I think that everybody seems to find their collective by doing readings. And what I love about the people, like in the collective that I've found, the people that do readings aren't afraid to get readings. It's like a humble factor there, Like we absolutely know, we appreciate the different perspectives. We appreciate hearing, what do you see for this right here? Like, cause I don't think I'm seeing it properly. And I love that. Like, that's a good sign to me.
Yeah, I love seeing how other people read. It's fantastic. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about you and your readings. I hope that I really think it did. That was such a fascinating two segments right there that for people that might feel, I'm going to leave it back to struggling on some sort of double. Maybe that's what we're all doing. Maybe we all got one foot on each timeline, and that's why we can't get anything to move. So maybe this helps everybody out. So everybody, hold on one second. We will be right back with Tiara Pigg. Yay!
Psychic teas, spelled with a Z, are scrumptious herbal combinations with antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties. Without sugar or caffeine, psychic teas won't mess with any medications and are designed by a naturopathic doctor. Many testify to positive results. Detox chakras and psychic tea blends enable bodily functions with superior efficacy, while more love and champagne blends support awareness of subtle joy and bliss. The CBD's teas are magical with myriad healing effects. There are 20 servings per package. A little dab'll do ya, and you can drink it hot or cold. Psychic teas taste so good. Replace coffee, use as a bedtime ritual, or even flavor a meal or dessert. The people behind the product are righteous and kind. Psychic teas will blow your mind. Totally worth the investment. Psychic Teas with a Z.com.
All right. So now, my darling, tell people you have several different type of readings that you offer. And of course, and it was funny, you said, Karen, I'm glad you picked the shadow reading, which I don't remember. I think I just clicked and it was, I guess I needed that. So tell people about the different readings you offer.
Okay. So I want to start with the shadow integration reading because people are so afraid of it. But the shadow integration reading really serves as a look at your shadow, how it could be holding you back, like not taking responsibility for your shadow and not properly identifying it. I think a lot of people think that when it comes to your shadow, it's going to be some crazy thing that you don't resonate with. It's you. Like, it is you. It has always been you. And it's a quality that you've always had. You just didn't realize that that's what your shadow was. Mm-hmm. So it's taking that and then taking your power and figuring out how to make them work together.
Which you just did for me with the curiosity that you did it.
Yes. And I usually ask people to set out an ancestral offering. It kind of helps call forth our ancestors. And it helps them transmute anything that we can't transmute on this realm, just to make sure that this is going to help you integrate and move forward. And the main, like, quote unquote, selling point with shadow integration is everybody once people start on their spiritual journey, we kind of get to a little plateau. And we're like, we want to help people. We want to do more for the collective. We want more of our gifts. We want to get to the next level. The next level usually means you claiming more of your shadow so that you can hold space for more of other people's shadows. So if you can't hold the space for yourself and you can't be, how when we think of certain things that we did in the past and we wince and we cringe and we're like, oh, I can't believe I did that. If we're still having those types of reactions to things that we did, then we probably aren't going to have the space to hold for other people to come to us. So those are my favorite. Those are what I really like to do. I don't even want to say my favorite, but probably my most powerful of readings to get. And then we have the inner child reading. I absolutely adore them. Sometimes inner child readings are pretty simple, usually. The messages come from inner children, very simple, very cut and dry. Most of the time is spent with me convincing people that they can, in fact, do what their inner child wants to do. So
you have a good example of that? Like, would it be like if I wasn't doing a podcast and you were like, your inner child is yelling at you to do a podcast? Is it like that?
Mm-hmm. It's like whatever creative thing, whatever direction. I always tell people, if you don't know which timeline to go to, consult your inner child. Ask them what they want to do. And that even happens in real life, where when I don't know what's going on, I ask my son, like, hey, what should we do today? And he has the best plans every time because he doesn't care. It doesn't matter. And he just wants to, be happy. So a lot of people just don't have that connection to know where it's like connection to your creativity, and they don't know how to get there. And that's what the inner child readings are for. I had one lady one lady order one, and she wanted to be a model. And I was like, well, why aren't you a model? You're beautiful. And she was like, well, I had like a scar. And I'm like, have you seen today's models? It's all about the different types of bodies. Be a model. And then we talked about that for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and everybody, it's amazing the barriers that go up, that you hear the people and they'll give you 5 reasons why they can't. And it's like, you got to lose that.
Yeah, that's invalid. So a lot of my inner child readings are me, like, sometimes it can be very nurturing, and sometimes it's like, hey, get out of your inner child's way, kind of. So it can be kind of stern. Then we have the timeline readings, which are a hit because none of us know what the French were doing. The timeline readings are really good for people who are stuck between like that fork in the road situation, where it's like, I have the option to do this and I have the option to do that. Which one is the better outcome? And that's so easy for me to navigate. And usually people come with however many questions we can fit in the 30 minutes. And those are awesome. I love doing that. And then we have the love reading. Of course, it can be for people like family, friends, or your loved ones to see, how this is going to go. Is this the right relationship? When's love coming? All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. That is funny too about the inner child one. I have had a lot of people with using different words, but almost saying to them, and it's been coming up now. It's almost like we're all returning to that inner child, because sometimes I'll say, what did you want to do when you were, what was the first thing you wanted to do? What was the first thing? And it's always something lovely and artistic and something. And they're like, yeah, no, I don't, but I'm making good money at this job. And it's like, well, do you want to be happy?
Right.
What's the trade-off here? And, that's the other thing. We are still so programmed that anything that we want to do or anything outside of the working for the corporation or working for the man isn't going to make money is crazy.
We couldn't possibly do that. You know what? This is coming up a lot in readings too. I wonder how many times I'm going to say that during this podcast. But, it feels like we're moving, like the path of least resistance is changing. Like the path of least resistance used to be for a group of people to fund one person's idea. So that's how we ended up with billionaires, right? Where they get a bunch of people to work under one person and you are making their dreams come true. That was the path of least resistance for a while. We're now getting to the place where it's like you are in charge of your dreams, and that's the path of least resistance. I have seen and heard and dealt with this myself of people just trying to do things for other people in hopes of making their dreams come true, making them happy and all that good stuff. And that's kind of like some codependency that we don't really think about. We think codependency is always in romantic relationships, but honestly, in a lot of business and finance, it's codependency. Like they depend on someone else for their money to come in. That's codependency, and it's not working anymore. We're like moving to this place of, okay, we are now doing the things that make us happy, that's making our dreams come true, and therefore our needs are being met.
Yes. And this is a weird leap, but it's very interesting because not that I don't love my family or anything. I have a great family, but I often have felt like an alien in my family, which is, actually probably a weird, like, prideful thing for me. Like, I like being different. I'm a Leo. I like being off the beaten path. But I have the ancestral guides or karma or anything like that. I feel like I don't have that, and I must have that, right? That's just, I just am not in tune to it, right?
Some people feel that they don't. I personally think that if you are an alien, like literal alien, you came from a different solar whatever, and you're here now, then to me, your ancestors are the people that you came from in that different solar system. So I personally don't see anyone as not having any type of ancestry. But, you know, you can not be close to them and all that good stuff. Like that's fine. And sometimes there just isn't much for you to do for them. There isn't much for them to do for you. For me, I see deities and ancestors as like snapshots or like recordings of their consciousness that were left behind for you to kind of as tools for you. So we can tap into that every once in a while, but it's not their full essence. It's not who they were fully. It's just things that they could have helped you with. Do you remember the movie I, Robot?
Vaguely. It was Will Smith, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there was a scene where a professor like jumped out of a window and he like points this thing at his body, and it's a hologram, and it's like a snapshot of his consciousness. And like you have to ask specific questions to get certain answers. And I don't know how other people deal with mediumship, but for me, it's been all about the way that you word questions and the questions that you ask that they can answer and the things that they are willing to help with. So I know that was a big question or a big answer to your question, but I personally feel like sometimes our actual ancestors, like bloodline, just don't have anything to contribute to what you're doing. Like you're probably killing it. You know, you just don't.
Or are they? Or they're not really. Like you said, if they're a different species, I don't want to say species, but if they're aliens or something, they may not have that stuff to clear. I think it made sense. It made sense in my head. It's not coming out of my mouth correctly.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine.
You know, it's interesting when you say ask the question correctly. Do you mean like, is there a way to expand on that?
So when people come to me, let's say it's a love reading, right? And someone is like, is this the person for me? Immediately it's no. Like there are no people that are for you. Like that's not no. No, that's a weird question, especially with the spirit realm and all that good stuff. There are no people that are for you. No. And so it's like, okay, how can I reword this question to our guides to where they'll answer it? And I usually have to go like, okay, do you want to see if your relationship will be fruitful? Like, do you want to see if this will be a long-lasting relationship? Do you want to see if this is, you know, who you should be with right now? All that good stuff. And I'm a very, very neutral reader. So if it's absolutely not, I'm going to say, I'm so sorry, darling. I don't think this is for you. Like, I don't think this is going to end up well. Would you like to figure out why? And my readings kind of feel like going through like a database. It doesn't feel very, sometimes it can feel very woo when I'm channeling like ancestors and stuff. It can get kind of poetic depending on how they communicate. But a lot of the times it feels very, well, let me go to this file, pull this out, go to line 3, and there's your answer. Like that's how I see it in my mind, I guess, because I'm a little bit more cerebral. But I have to do that. No, you're fine.
I was going to say, I feel like that's like the question about the one. And I kind of think the next generation, which is kind of your generation, is over that idea of the one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. I think that a lot of people my age are expanding more. We're like either going to be single and like we'll date people either non-exclusively, or we will date people non-monogamously. Like that's just where it seems to go. And I think that's just more of that honesty bit. I have never personally seen relationships that were truly monogamous. I haven't seen it. So that makes sense to me.
You know what else? And you might find the one. I believe there are certain people. I know a couple. I'll say my friend, the animal communicator. She's with who she's supposed to be with, and they are great. Period. Oh, so it happens. It happens. It doesn't mean her life doesn't have any problems, but it's kind of interesting. Yesterday, this was just a joke, but I put it on Twitter, which said, when I was younger, I wanted to save myself for the man I was supposed to marry. And now I'm trying to fit in as many handsome young guys before someone accidentally marries me.
Yes. I get that. Definitely. I don't know. I actually, I don't know if you want to get into it, but I was going to get into spirituality and dating. Like, feel like
I love this.
I feel like I just can't. I see through too much. Like before, I was like so aware. I could kind of turn off my intuition and just have a good time. Mm-hmm. Just hang out with people. Now it's to the point where I can't ignore anything, and it's like it's exhausting. Like, how exactly am I supposed to hang out with people and just try and move things towards the dating space if I'm like, hey, did you know that your grandma actually really wanted to, like, how can I can't do it. It's so exhausting. So I just, dating has been one of those things where I'm like, well, I don't know how this is going to happen ever. I'm just, and then
I'm the one, I made a hard right turn where, and with my dating stuff, and you've seen me, and I will tell you, there is evolution to that. And because I used to be very fixated on, I want to meet someone, I want to meet that special someone, very fixated on that, to exactly where you are, where also, especially when I was so ambitious about comedy, I felt like everyone was wasting my time. Like, I can't sit here and listen to this. I'm not connected to this. It's not. And then last year, this took a turn, and it moved into curiosity.
Oh.
And I don't know what the switch was, but I'm on the other side where this is all funny. In fact, I have this great guy. I put this up on Twitter. There's this fantastic, I love Middle Eastern. He's gorgeous, and he's a huge pain in the butt, and I can't let him go because I am so funny around him, and he knows it. So it's like, I'm having so much fun. I can't believe how charming I feel, and it's fantastic. Whereas a while ago, he would have been stress. He would have been stressful in what's going on, and did I hear from him? I didn't. And it's almost like there's a joy about it now that was never there before. And I hear other people with, he's lying to you, or why did he take that picture? He doesn't have hair. And it's like there's an aggressive attack on whomever, which I'm sure guys do it their way, but my perspective is seeing girls doing it to guys. He doesn't make enough money, or he didn't say that, or he should pay for the cost. There's all this should. Whereas I'm like, that looks like a Middle Eastern name and a beard. I want to meet that guy.
I love it.
So,
oh my gosh.
But that has something to do with, I don't know what I let go of or my age, but it's I totally know where you're at, and sometimes we just need that space.
Yeah.
It's not the time.
Yeah.
But
I get that. And there's something I've heard time and time and time again since I was a teenager, that I am just so intimidating and unapproachable. And I'm like, bro, I'm 5'2". Like, what do you want me to do? Like, what exactly could I do? But it's fine. I'm sure when the time is right, I'll date as much as I want to. But I think I'm just trying not to blame it on spirituality. I'm trying not to blame. It's kind of like, you know how when like people or women are high in business, if they say that they don't, they seem like they're unavailable because they have money or because they're high ranking in their business, then that becomes like a thing that they feel like they need to sacrifice to find someone. And I think that's my message there of like just needing, like, this is just something that's happening right now. Don't blame it on the fact that you are spiritual. You are so aware. It's just a thing that we're going through. It's cool.
Yeah. And you're just going to get out on the other side and it's going to be fine. And also, but you are, I can see where people would say you were intimidating because you're gorgeous. And I really, I wrote this in a joke. I think I'm attainable. No, attainable. I wrote this in a joke and I'm serious. I think that's a really attainable. This is the joke. Okay. Attainable is great because no one really thinks they're going to win the Powerball. But if they get a scratcher ticket, everyone's like, I could win here. That's what I'm the scratch. I could win here. But because it works good because a comedian is sort of out there. But believe me, that which seems intimidating to people right now is going to turn over to become stability. This woman knows who she is. This woman has her feet right solid on the ground. And then someday that turns over and the men that want that are going to be the ones you're going to date.
Okay. And see, this is why you are my fairy godmother, because you just tossed me right off the ledge, right on your podcast. Thank you.
Don't even worry about it. Right now is that, but oh man, I'm going to be the one that walks you down the aisle at your wedding.
I love it.
Even if it's 3 people that are getting married, I'm walking you down the aisle.
Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine.
I just adore you, Tiara. Okay. Tell everyone where to find you.
You can find me at 11th and Delphi on Instagram or 11thanddelphi.com. My readings and services are on both. He can shoot me a follow or a message or a DM or anything like that. Yeah.
Yes, and it's in the show notes, folks. But it's 11THANDDELPHI. And tell us in our last few moments why you chose that. I love this meaning.
Oh, so 11th and Delphi is the space, the business and the brand that I'm creating, the space for the New Age Oracle. Because my life path is 11 and it's all about innovation and rejuvenation and making things new. And I'm an oracle. And when I was coming into my power, I realized that there were so many of us. There were so many people that could read and see and had all these powers. And I was like, we need a space. Like, we need a place to where like people understand what we're going through. So that's what I'm trying to create, or I'm creating with 11th and Delphi.
You are creating it and you're helping so many. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It took forever for us to get this scheduled, but we did it.
We got it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. And I will see you all next week.